right. Let me get going here. And I started it right on time. I'm so excited. All right. Hi, Caitlin. So we are going to wait a couple of minutes for some more people to come in. And then we'll get started. All right. So I hope everyone had a good day today. I did. It was just very fast. So we are going to be talking about stress and if medical coding is stressful, and also your why. Hello, Jamie. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Hannah. Hi, John Daniel. Uh-oh, he's saying, oh, wow. Why? Why are you saying, oh, wow, John Daniel? What did I do? Let's see. Yes. Hello, Guy. This episode is right up my alley. Well, good. I'm glad. A lot of people have been asking this question lately. Is medical coding stressful? And how do you handle it? How do you deal with the stress? I've been asked personally, how do I deal with stress? So I'm going to share some of my thoughts on how I deal with stress. And of course, your why. What is your why? So, John Daniel says, I actually showed up at a good topic. Okay, good. It's Thursday again. I like that. Guy. That's very funny. Hello, Liz, the creator. It's nice to see you. Hello, King. Great that you're here, because I know you asked this question. So this was inspired by your comment the other day. So hi, Aurora. Hello, Alan. Oh, I think I did it right. John Daniel, nah, just dealing with the mad stress of the past few days, which I think is probably, remember from my situation with my boss and the backlog of claims and the micromanaging that's coming along with it. Yeah. This was a good topic to bring up now. Hi, Ashley. Hi, I hope you're having a great day, Blue. I am. It's a great day. So, let's go ahead and get started. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I often get the question, and I've gotten it more and more this week, is medical coding stressful? And how do you handle the stress? How do you personally handle stress? And also, my own personal topic on this whole thing tonight is, what is your why? Okay, you have to have a why, right? And we'll get into that. But let's talk about stress. So with medical coding, we have a couple of things stacked up against us, right? We have productivity and we have accuracy. So not only do we have to manage this as professionals, right? We still have to be able to meet deadlines. We have to be able to stay educated and on top of our education, because it's important. It's imperative to what we do. But how do you handle this when you have a micromanaging boss, when you have coworkers that work on your last nerve, or, you know, if you have things going on at home? How do you handle all of this all together? The thing about it is, It's important to start learning to compartmentalize. And what I mean when I say this is when you're at work, you're at work. So whatever you have going on at home, whatever you have going on personally, it's got to be left at the door. And that's going to take part of your stress away, right? Because you're not going to have to worry about that. You can worry about that in 8 hours when you get off of work. Okay. I've seen plenty of coders bring their stress to work and make work a lot more stressful than it needed to be. So remember, I used to work in a room with 20 women. So trust me, you get 20 women, they got a lot of stuff going on. So you never want to be the person bringing your problems to work. Work is enough already as it is. Let's go ahead and focus on that. Now with work, there's an acceptance of that you're going to make mistakes, that you are going to fall behind sometimes, and there's going to be times when it's just, I don't know, you're thinking to yourself, what did I get myself into? What am I doing? But at the end of the day, you stay with it. And when you stay with it, it's because you have your why. Why are you staying with it? Why are you choosing to stay in this career field? And that kind of helps to mitigate some of that stress. You have to consider your why. And when you're asking, like, what do you mean your why? Why are you choosing to do this? What is it about medical coding that's making you do it? Are you there for the paycheck? Or are you there because of your family? Are you there trying to support yourself? What is your why? So when you have those stressful situations, you can kind of take yourself out of it for just a second and think, okay, it's not about me. It's about this or this or this, or I'm doing it because of this. So you have to have some kind of focus, and that's going to be able to help you, because there's going to be times when you're going to want to pull your hair out because your accuracy may not be where it needs to be, or your production may be a little bit low because maybe you ran into a hard chart. Hard charts happen. I mean, it's going to happen. It's inevitable in any part, because patients are all individuals and they're going to have very unique situations. But taking on that stress and learning to manage it, when you start to feel yourself get those feelings of, oh my gosh, your heart starts to race and you start to breathe a little faster, you start to hyperventilate, you need to take a time out. Now, I always do this. I take a time out. Now, I never used to before because I didn't know that I could. I didn't know I could pull that card. But anytime I feel myself, if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed and like my chest starts to get tight, I get up and I walk out, because of the simple fact that you need to kind of get away from whatever is bothering you at that moment. Because the more you sit and stew in it, the worse it's going to get. And if you have to ask your supervisor for permission to leave the room, that's fine. You just have to say, I'm going to take a time out for just a minute. I need to get myself together. Give me 5 minutes. And trust me, that 5 minutes is going to spare you from saying something that you may end up regretting, okay? Because nobody likes to get upset or get into an argument or anything like that because they're upset. You know, it's important to say, okay, I'm going to take myself out of the situation for just a minute, and I'm going to regroup, and then I'm going to come back to it, because there's nothing that says that you have to continue a conversation with anybody, a coworker, your boss, in that 5 minutes, right? You can take a timeout. So pulling yourself out takes a lot of guts and it takes a lot of strength, but knowing your own triggers and knowing those signs that you're going to start getting when you're starting to feel overwhelmed, and so that you can take that minute to get out of there, to calm down, it's going to serve you a lot better, because then you can come back more focused. And taking the time when you get out of work to do things to decompress, and, you know, walking away, that's a good step towards decompression, because that way you can be like, okay, let me just get myself together here for a minute, and then I'll come right back to this, right? So when you're out of work, when you're off of work for the day, go on a walk, or watch some trashy reality TV, watch something that doesn't make sense, because you don't have to think in that moment. You don't have to think, what about this? What about that? No, just focus on something silly or off the wall. Some people play basketball, some people go fishing. I watch trashy reality TV. That's how I decompress when I've had a really rough day. And I've had rough days before. Everybody does. Everybody gets to those moments where, like, you're just sitting there and you're really upset. There was a situation where I was being micromanaged, and I don't like being micromanaged. To be micromanaged makes me feel very anxious. And I don't like it. I've been very vocal about it. I've told my boss I do not like being micromanaged because I'm very responsible. So let's not play this game of being micromanaging, right? And so we have to kind of take a time out. So for me, what I did on this day, when I started to feel like that, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a walk for 5 minutes and I'm going to come right back to the situation because I can't right now. And so she's like, okay, Blue, all right. So I did a lap really quick and I came back and I felt better because then I could focus my words and I could focus my mind. It is okay, folks, to take that minute and take the time for yourself so that you don't do something, right? And whatever the situation is, whether it is you're coding a chart and it doesn't make sense and no one seems to want to help you, taking the time to go away from it for a minute can help you to be like, okay, it's not so bad. When you look at it later, it's really not so bad. It's going to be like, okay, I can handle this. I can deal with this. But sitting and stewing in your stress does nothing. It does nothing but upset you even more. And it will make basically a mountain out of a molehill. And when you learn to be like, okay, I'm feeling that feeling right now, let me just stop. That's going to be better for you. And it, like I said, it takes guts to be able to handle something like that. But getting into those good habits of decompression after the day is over is going to help you. So when you go home, whatever you had at work stays at work. So it's the same thing like how you don't deal with stuff at home at work. It's the same way you have to be at home. Don't let your work life affect your home life. Come home, decompress, do whatever you have to do, but do something for yourself. Take a break. And if you have to take time off, like a day, put in your leave or whatever for the day, just so that you can have a day to yourself. You don't have to work 5 days a week, all these straight months in a row. You can take a day off here and there. I do that because between the channels, between work, because I work a full 40 hours a week. But between my channels and everything else that I do schedule time for myself. And it's very important that you schedule time for yourself just to be off, just to do nothing. Don't have any responsibilities of, oh, I got to get up, I got to do this, I got to do errands, I got to do like all this other stuff for everybody else. You got to take care of yourself. It is that, what is that thing on the airplane where they say you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help everybody else? Because why? If you're trying to help everybody else, you're going to pass out because you got no oxygen. It's the same thing. You have to think of that for yourself. You got to be able to take care of you. No one else is going to take care of you like you will. So do things that you enjoy so that it doesn't become so overwhelming. And do things to reward yourself for the good work that you do. If you just passed your certification exam, congratulate yourself. Go out and have a nice dinner. If you did something really good at work and no one at work is congratulating you, that's okay. You can congratulate yourself. You can share the good news on LinkedIn or here with me, and I'll share it to everybody. But do things to congratulate yourself and say that, hey, I'm doing something really good. Even when no one else around you will celebrate you, you can celebrate you. And a lot of times people will think, well, Blue, no, I don't want to do that. That's being conceited. It's not being conceited. It is actually doing something positive for yourself. We live in a very, very cynical world where people are just in for themselves and they do things and sometimes they see you have something, so they want to do something better than you. To me, it's like, okay, again, I think about my why. So your why doesn't have to be the same and it doesn't have to stay the same. My why changed throughout my career. And in the beginning, my why was I was going through a divorce. I was going through this whole change and I needed to do something for my life to make it better. So that was why I was able to get through those times when school was difficult, when I cried because I didn't understand something, when I was scared because I wasn't finding a job right away. My why was driving me. I wanted to get my life going again. And when I had to move away from my hometown and away from my mom who was sick, and my whole goal and my why am I doing this? Why am I working all these overtime hours that I was working at the second job? Was because I wanted to get back home. That was my why. That was what was driving me. And then when I got here to the position that I'm in now, and I lost my mom not long after that, my why turned into, this is actually going to save me, because you get to a point where everything upsets you. And when you lose somebody that you love more than anything in the world, and you're trying to get it together and keep it together, you got to focus. And my why turned into, I'm going to get really good at medical coding because I can concentrate on this. And so I took all of the stress that I got from coding, some of the confusing stuff, some of these doctors, the way that they wrote, not very clear. And then they didn't have really good educators at the time. So it's just like, okay, I got to really work with this now. I've got to focus on getting these people on the right track and making those connections with these providers and getting through to some of these providers who don't want to talk to anybody else. But then you talk to them and you can kind of set them going right. Because I started to think about, how would I want somebody to educate me? If I'm very educated and I think that I know, how am I going to accept education from somebody else? So then that's when I started adopting that whole thought process of, we're teammates. So my stress level started to go down when I was working with the providers, and their documentation was getting a lot easier to get through. So that was helping me with my stress. Sometimes people think, I can't talk to my providers, so I'm stressed out with the way that they document. You can speak with your providers, or if you have a coder educator on staff, then that's their job. But if they're not doing their job, it's on the coder to select the things that are appropriate. For me, I want to be hands-on with my providers. I don't want anybody else to talk to them, because they're mine, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make my life less stressful. So let's get this documentation going right. Let's talk to each other, because trust me, these providers, they get stressed out when they see their RVUs drop. When they see that they're not producing like they're supposed to, oh yeah, that stresses them out. So stress begets stress. So if you're stressed out, the provider's stressed out, everybody's stressed out. Hey guys, let's talk. Let's get together. Let's work this out, because everything can be worked out. Believe it or not, every single situation that you're in can be worked out. There is nothing that is too complicated when you stop and you take a step back and you look at every single thing that's going on around you. And you start dealing with things one thing at a time. Instead of trying to take it all on at one time, oh no, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. Instead of doing that, taking everything one thing at a time. The other stuff is still going to be there. Problems with your boss is still going to be there. Problem with a provider is still going to be there. Problem with another coworker, that's still going to be there. Let's concentrate on one thing at a time. You're having a problem trying to get your productivity up? Okay, let's kind of watch the distractions, right? So you get your headphones and you start concentrating. If you're in a place where you have to wear headphones, wear your headphones. So that way everybody knows that you're working. Okay, if you have your own office, lock the door and get to work. So that way, okay, now you got that one problem out of the way. You having a problem with your boss, and maybe your boss is micromanaging you. Sometimes you have to take that and be like, okay, so I am going to respond to you positively, because I'm going to try to diffuse the situation. So whenever I get micromanaged and I get emails, blue, 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 then okay, instead of not responding to these emails, which I would love to do, because I hate to respond to just little emails, I start responding, yes, ma'am, right away. I'm right on it right now. You got it, no problem. Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And then after a while, it's just like, okay, then she backs off. All right, no more micromanaging, because she gets it now. Blue can't do micromanaging. Not everybody can do that. Some people need it. Some people need to be like, you got to be on them. But when it's somebody that doesn't need it, they'll kind of get it after a while, especially if your boss understands and knows how you are and your temperament. Okay, then we can slow down on this. So that knocks that problem out of the way. And when you are around your boss and you have to be around them, the thing that they're going to expect you to do is give them an attitude, especially if you haven't been getting along well. You don't want to do that. No matter what you got to think of, you got to think of birds chirping in your head. You got to think of a beach somewhere. You got to think of going on a trip, which is what I do, right? I like to go on trips. That's how I decompress too. I give myself something to look forward to. Like now, I'm looking forward to the ACTIS conference in October. So that's my goal trip right there that I got going on. So that's how I say, okay, I'm going to smile right now because I'm thinking about that conference. It's not about my boss. It's not about my coworkers. It's not about anybody else, but it's about that trip. But I'm going to smile because that's making me happy thinking about it. So then it's like, okay. And then they're just like, whoa, okay, well, no attitude. Okay, so everything's cool. We're all good. So now my energy has diffused that energy, that defensive energy, to be like, oh, okay, now we can bring this down a notch. We're good. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy. And then all of a sudden, everything goes back to normal until something happens again. And then we got to do the same process all over again. But if I didn't have that tactic of, okay, I'm going to take the time to think about something else. I'm going to be a million miles away from here because I know what I'm doing. I know my work. I know my job. I know my work ethic. So I shouldn't have to worry about this. But sometimes you just have to play the game. And in work life, you're going to find that. You're going to find jealous coworkers that will do anything and everything to try to bring you down. But you got to look at your why. And also now, like I said, my why changes, right? So now my why, when I get into these situations with coworkers or my boss, my why is my providers. That's my why. That's my why, because they're important to me. Their success is important to me because it's a reflection of me. That's how I see it, because I'm their coder. They don't go from being average to superstar stellar in the hospital without the help of their coder. Now that they understand better what they're supposed to be doing, the detail is there. And it's not that I'm saying, oh, do this, oh, do that. No, it is about, okay, the detail. Now we got the detail there. So when you have that and you have coworkers who hear about this, of course they're going to throw you attitude. Does it matter to me? No. What matters to me is if my providers give me attitude. Yeah, that's gonna bother me because that's who I'm working with. That is my why. You have to have this why, folks. You have to have the why, because the why is going to keep you grounded. The why keeps you going. It's like when you look at these successful marriages and you say, how did you do it? Well, we believe we have because of our faith, or we have because of our children. That's why we do it. We work through all of this stuff because of our children, or we work through all of this stuff because of our faith, or because we have built so much together and we're such a good team. That is our why. So when you have that why, that's almost like a mission statement, right? It gives you a direction. When those times when everything feels chaotic and everything feels like it's just so overwhelming, you have that why. Okay, now I have this why. It's not going to be just, oh, I'm going to quit because I'm mad and I don't want to do this anymore because this person makes me mad, or I don't want to see this person. If you don't want to see somebody, take the time out. Do the time out. Take the time out. Go for a walk. Because there's nothing that says that you have to be right there, So let me read some of these comments, because I saw a lot of them coming in. All right. It says, John Daniel, I like to stay under the radar, and the problem wasn't even my fault, but I got to take ownership with the good and the bad. I finished the backlog of claims. That's awesome, John. But I saw some horrible coding, because sometimes the other coders work on other providers that's not their own. And man, they don't care. Oh, that irks me. That just angered me. See, it irks me too. So I understand you. Hi, Mitney. John Daniel, not to mention I had to fix a mistake, so I actually code the right encounter. ALN, your audio turned off. It did? I'm getting overwhelmed a little, John Daniel, because I'll start to work on the flow and I'll get the messages told to some remedial task that didn't add any new information and they didn't already know the previous day. A says, I'm sorry about your mom, Blue. Thank you. Caitlin, this is how I was when I lost my mom. Yeah. And moms are hard. You know, moms are different. John Daniel, really messes with me when I get sidetracked to do something stupid. On top of getting told by people who won't even code a claim right, they just submit it as is. No, I understand that. I totally get it. Caitlin, I wanted to continue to make her proud and show her that I was as smart as she always thought I was, because she was the smartest person I knew. No. I'm owl about it. It says, if my mouth doesn't say it, my face will. I'm like that sometimes, but that's when you have to kind of think about like what you're a million miles away thought, right? John Daniel, I've actually take your mindset over the last few days and putting the provider first. Oh, good. Mentally, everything else is second. I'm just not gonna let others get in the way of my working with my providers. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And hello, Bernadette. Thank you for joining me. John Daniel, I'm gonna go with my workflow and just get things done the way I choose to do it. And I won't let them manage that for me because it just messes me up. As long as they get done in time, that's all that matters. Karen says, great conversation, Blue. Oh, I'm so glad. And that's right, John. You have to think about it like that, because at the end of the day, the stuff is getting done right. And you're always going to be able to have that defense. Like, it's getting done correctly. And I've told my boss before too, it may not be done in the order that you want it to be done, but it's still getting done. And at the end of the day, it's still getting done with quality and care and everything else. So what is the issue? And so she's like, okay. She's like, whatever. So sometimes you just have to be blunt like that too, you know? King says, thank you for your wisdom. Caitlin, I'm the same way. My face gives a lot of attitude, apparently. Hook up your mic. I did. I know that's you, Dr. Lynn. It's on. Can y'all hear me? Her mic is on. I can hear just fine. I hear well too. Okay, good. I haven't used that lapel mic. I mean, I have it. Hold on 1 second. I'll go grab my lapel mic. All right. See, lapel mic right here. Come on, get in there. All right, gonna switch this. All right. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Yes? It would sound better. It must be your device. You are meaning loud and clear. Now we're getting fancy. Hannah says, okay, less echo, much better. See, I have this. See, I was using this one because it's, I'm trying to like get more like away because I was thinking maybe I was too close before. And so I got this microphone that can just plug into the thing, but no, I take your advice very seriously, Dr. Lynn, because I know you helped me. So, okay, so everybody says it's great. Okay, good. Too far away from that little mic. Yeah, I know. I need to get better. I do. I need tutoring. I really do. All right. So Hannah, I know your stress exists. I'll come to Texas. That would be so fun. We could do a collaboration. I would love that. I would totally love that. Or I can go to Arizona. um, Hannah, I know that your stress exists because you're studying. And I know if you're a student right now and you're studying medical coding, and it is a lot, right? And you're just like overwhelmed with the stress, and it's like, what do I do? What do I, how do I do this? You just got to do one thing at a time. And for some people, when they have to be motivated by themselves to do things, right? It is even more of a challenge. And some people are okay with it, and some people are like, they need that on you, right? And that's okay, because it does help. You have those secondary ideas, and then you have all these other study tips and things like that. So your why comes into play. That's going to push you to be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, and I can take a little bit more stress, and I can take a little bit more of this, few more hours of studying, and more hours of writing out flashcards or whatever, going through these workbook exercises and things. So, John Daniel, I'm just tired of the BS that I feel like I'm being singled out in some respects. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of the zone because I'm tired of interfering my providers. Your second mic is much clearer, but just as loud. Dr. Lynn, we can collab now via Zoom and then stream on YouTube. Let me know. Totally. Because I've gotten better. John Daniel, I even set up VPN secure line so that they can call and ask questions if they have issues with things about coding and clinical documentation. Going back to what you said a few days ago, others don't need to know what gets discussed between you and your provider as long as the work gets done. That's right. Thanks, Dr. Lynn. I appreciate that. He says, keep up the great work. Hannah, I've got motivation down. I love doing this. I'm just frustrated about having trouble with things and things not making sense. That's because, you don't have somebody right there to explain it either. And so you're kind of having to read this from a book. And it doesn't always make sense from the book. It doesn't always make sense from like the examples either. Like, how did they get to that, But in the beginning, before you get started in the real world of coding, well, yeah, you're going to run into that, because I ran into it. And when I was reading the evaluation and management book, right? And I was reading it cover to cover. A lot of it still didn't make sense to me. But when I started going through the workbook and the exercises, I was like, oh, okay, now it's starting to make sense. It's starting to come together. But when you first read it, it is going to be like foreign language, because how do you get there? How do you do this? It's just going to be patience with yourself. That's all it is. Caitlin, yeah, I'm only a few days from my CCA, and it's like my mind is going blank. That's when you have to walk away, Caitlin. Walk away from the books. Just back away, because you're not going to learn anything new the couple of days before or the week before you take your exam. You're not going to learn anything new. So you may as well just take your break, and what happens on your test happens on your test. Trust your first instinct. A lot of times people will fight against themselves and start to second guess themselves and think, oh no, this is not the right answer. This is the right answer. And no, you have to trust yourself and trust your instinct. And that's going to take a lot of the stress away too, as well, when you start to trust yourself. Because so many times people who second guess themselves, or who have just not that confidence that they should have, right? And then they start to wonder, are they doing the right thing? That's a stressful action. So rather than that, why don't you think, I'm doing the right thing? This is supposed to be this way. You are going to feel this way. You are going to feel lost. You are going to feel stressed out. You are going to feel like did I do what I'm supposed to do? But when you say that this feeling is supposed to come with this territory, then that's going to make it a lot easier. Because again, when you take that time to yourself to be like, okay, I'm going to decompress now, and I'm going to watch trashy reality TV, or I'm going to I'm going to go for a drive, because I'll do that too. There's nothing better than getting into a sports car and just going out on the open road. And there's plenty of open road around me, right? And so that's what I like to do too. Sometimes when it is really bad, when it's really stressful at the end of the day, instead of coming straight home, I'll just go shh, and I'll just drive. Little towns, 30 miles away. Just get in and just drive. And it's about an hour when you think about a round trip. So you have an hour to just sit there and just look at the road and just concentrate on being on the road and just relax. And that to me is relaxing. Some people may get stressed out with driving. I get stressed out if it's so much traffic. That's why I don't like to drive in Austin. But anywhere else, I'm fine, But Austin and Houston, oh, whoa, Houston, don't even get me started on Houston. The traffic is terrible. But, when you take the time to do road trips and do things that will help you to decompress, again, it's a good idea. But I would totally relax, Caitlin, before your exam. Don't start overthinking it. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen, right? And you've studied hard. You know what you're doing. You can get there. You just have to give yourself a break, because a lot of times people will stress themselves out, and they have everything down. They've got it down. They've got everything good. And then they stress themselves out on the day of the exam, and boom, they just blow it. And why? Because they couldn't relax. So just relax and try to have fun with it. Because at the end of the day, it is just a test. That's all it is. It's just going to be a review of the things that you already know how to do. Okay, so that's my advice on that one. Let's see. Hannah, oh no, I read that one. Caitlin, Golden Heart. Hannah, what doesn't make sense? Hannah says yes. Dr. Lynn, knowing the material is not the same as understanding the information. Yes, you are correct, sir. Do not second guess yourself. Hannah, at Golden Heart, it's just how the codes are found on certain things from a case. It's like so far from what I thought was right, and I have no idea why. John Daniel, hey Blue, have you ever had to deal with it where you feel like control is being taken away from you on how you work with your providers? Yes. Yes, I have. And I'll get to that example in a minute. Go to her, okay. Caitlin, yes, I definitely fight with myself about that, wondering if I'm doing the right thing. Hannah, I've done so many cases lately that I'll get to the point where the words don't make sense. That's when you know you need a break. Because I know you're doing multiple cases in one day too. So Al says, swimming is a good activity to decompress. Yes, it is. Jocelyn, hi Blue. It was a long day today, but I'm glad I caught alive. I'll definitely go back and watch the first half hour. Jamie, know your guidelines and take the day before your test to relax and go eat a good dinner. Yes. Man, I really like your channel. Good. That's so good. But yes, have I ever felt like control is being taken away on how I work with my providers? Yes. The good thing about my situation is I'm embedded in the clinic and they see me on a daily basis. So they do sometimes get emails from other people, and they ask me about it because they say, well, Blue, I got this email, and I'll stop them because I'll look at the email and I'll know that the information is faulty. So I will explain why it is faulty and why what I have been telling them is correct. So they say, okay, so they realize this, right? They know that this is the way that it goes. I said, we're all just playing a game here. That's what this is. Okay. There's some people that have to send out these emails because that is what they are told to do. But it does not mean that this is the direction that you need to take. At the end of the day, I'm your coder. And I'm a very good coder, and there's a reason for that, because I do study and I do research and I do make sure that I know and understand. Like Dr. Lynn says, knowing the material is completely different from understanding the material. And it's true, because how can you truly understand the guidelines if you've never applied the guidelines? And which is the case for some people that were trying to exert their influence on my providers, which no, we're not doing that. And so they all know. And as soon as I show up at their door, because I have been copied on these emails before, they know. They go, "We got it, Blue. Don't worry. We're still going to listen to what you say." That's right. Because don't exert all your influence and expect me not to say something, especially if the information is incorrect. So having a good relationship with my providers is key. If I didn't have that, if it was just like I was a lazy coder and didn't want to talk to my providers and be like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and collect a check and go home," then it would be different, because then they would get all this information from multiple sources and not really know who to follow. And for me, no, I always tell them, and I'm very clear with them, I'm the coder. What I say goes, because I'm the one at the end of the day that's coding your stuff. Not anybody else. It's me. Somebody else may look at your stuff and may wonder these questions, but no, I'm the coder. And anybody can look at those and audit them and know that they're correct. So let's see. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Jamie says, "I'm really enjoying watching your video so much." Natural says, "Hey, I took your advice and went ahead and signed up for the course. Thank you." Oh, good. Golden Heart, can you explain what providers are when the consumers or the people that you work with? Can you explain what providers? No, I haven't heard of chart preps, John. Explain what providers are. Like my doctors? When I say providers, my providers, they're the doctors that I work with, or the physician assistants, or the nurse practitioners. They're the people that I code for, right? We don't have like customers. I don't use that word. But that's what I mean when I say providers, like my doctors that work in the clinic, because I work in orthopedics and podiatry. So that is who I'm talking about. My surgeons and the PAs and stuff. John Daniel says, "Hey, Blue, I'm going to show you my IMG link that I saw on Google Images. Does your EMR look like this? I screen captured it and uploaded it to a site." Oh, okay. But yeah, that's what my providers are. So, but yes, other things that you can do to relax also, right? Other than imagine a trip that you're going to take, or go for a drive, you can also take the time to just do something like that is different from what you normally do. If you normally go shopping, right, when you have time or when you want to do something for yourself and you go shopping, you do something like that, go someplace different. Go, I know it's like a lot of places are still in COVID, but taking a drive is nice. Or just taking a minute for yourself, go to a new place, a new restaurant, order something new off the menu, just something different and out of the ordinary. Not something that you wouldn't like, but something that you think that you might enjoy. So doing something that's out of the ordinary is something that will help you to also decompress, because it's something new, and your brain has to be triggered to think about something else different other than what you're going through at the moment at work, Dr. Lynn says, Golden Heart, providers is shorthand for MDDO and APPs, basically QHPs, qualified healthcare providers. Guy says, you're there at work. You're there at their work pleasure. Okay. So yeah. So I mean, and doing something that's going to make you laugh is also really key, because I found that humor also helps me. Whenever I see something funny, and it'll be either just going through memes or something like that, and memes make me laugh too. Animal clips make me laugh, especially if the animal is clumsy. Poor animals. Are there a lot of men in the coding field? Men are in the minority in the coding field. This is why I try to encourage more men to get into the coding field, because we need a little bit more balance in this field. There are some men that say, oh no, there's too many women and I don't want to work around too many women, or I'm a male and I think that I'm not going to get hired because everybody's a woman. That's not true. Men tend to get hired faster sometimes than women, because they're a male, and it'll balance out the department. So a male is rare for us as coders. So it's always good to have a male on staff. It's going to strike that balance. And I would love to see more males in the field, because I think that to have that gender equalization in this field would be good, because it doesn't need to only necessarily be just women. Men are good at speaking as well. They're good at details and everything else too. I know plenty of males that are very good coders. I mean, really good coders. So I think that women can also learn from other male coders as well. So at least that's my opinion anyway. Hannah says, just watch Supernatural. There's so many storylines you won't be able to think about anything else to keep up. John Daniel, I'm a guy, and I'll tell you, we can have it hard sometimes. Yes, because sometimes you're the only male there, So like I said, it's always good. And I always encourage males to get into medical coding, because males shouldn't be scared off by all these women. At least that's what I think. And I think that, like I said, it's good to balance out the industry, because just as there wasn't a lot of, at a time, there wasn't a lot of male nurses. Now there's more male nurses. So it's the same thing. It's just, they're just sort of going into the field little by little. So you're welcome. But at least that's my opinion, and I hope that more males get into it. At least that's just what I think. But yes, I see males all the time that are studying, or they're brand new, or they've been in the field. And there's plenty of them out there. So, But yes, it is a stressful field, but it's manageable. It is manageable on the stress. You just have to discover your why, think of your why, focus on your why, especially when you get into those moments where you're stressed out, because no one should be as stressed out. And then you got to think about the good times, right? The good times, the wins. You got to celebrate those wins for yourself. If no one else will, who will? That's why you got to be like, okay, it's good. This is good. I'm going to share this, and this is what I've achieved. It's important. When, like I said, when nobody will celebrate for you, you got to celebrate for yourself. It wasn't too long ago that I was celebrating my 10-year anniversary at work, and I celebrated for myself because no one else was going to celebrate for me. So I came in and brought in a whole thing of lasagna that I made. Oh yeah, I did a whole thing because I was celebrating myself. 10 years of being in one place. You have to have a lot of whys, and you have to have a lot of, okay, I did it because of this. And that was a very proud moment to be able to get my certificate and my pin that says I had been in the facility for 10 years. Oh, yeah. That was really nice. But no one else was going to celebrate me but me. So I was like, all right, I'll do my own thing. And it was really good. I have a whole picture frame signed and everything of all my providers that worked in the clinic with me. They all came by and they signed it and congratulated me, and I still have it. And I look at it on those days when I get stressed out. So, and then I think, okay, yeah, that's why. And I just get back to work because, that's what I do. But yes. So, John Daniel, so Blue, how do you take ownership like to the point, these are my providers, I can handle it, please don't interfere. I think you get what I mean when I say that, LOL. Yes, I do. If the people that are sending the emails won't listen, which is true, they won't, then you're never going to make headway with those people. It's with the providers. So let them talk. Let them do whatever they're going to do, because they're going to continue to do that anyway. There's nothing that you can do to stop these people, because I have tried. People who send my providers emails, there's one who does it. And I tried to work with her. I literally went to her, hey, you know, we're friends. Let's go ahead and let's work together. Oh, okay. All right. So clearly you're not going to listen to reason. All right. Even though I would rather work with you than fight with you, since you don't want to listen to what I have to say, my providers, they know. Did the email come from Bleu? No, it did not. Okay. Then we know what to do. So there's almost nothing that you can say to some people, because they're going to believe whatever they want to believe, and they're going to act the way that they want to act, and they're going to do what they want to do. And there's nothing that you can do other than make sure that the people who are supposed to know, like your providers, know that if you say something, then yes, it's true. If somebody else says something, then they can ask you, hey, is this correct or not? Okay, it's not. Okay, well then I'll listen to what you say. And that has been my solution for it, because again, I can't do anything for this other person. She is completely shut down. She does not want anything to do with me at all, which is fine. I would prefer it to be the other way, because like I said, I offered, but she didn't want to listen. So there's nothing that I can do, and my boss won't do anything either. So you just have to, okay, then my providers know. So that's how I do it, because again, nothing that you can do. Have you experienced a lot of gossip and cattiness at your job? Yes, I have. I don't mean to laugh, but yes, I have. I have been the victim of a lot of gossip before. I had horrible stories go around about me. Clearly, they were not true. But if people, for me, when this story went around, right, and it clearly was not true. And I'm not going to say what the story was, because it's just going to upset me. But needless to say, it was bad, and it wasn't true. And to me, I said out loud to everybody that was listening or whatever, I said, if anybody wants to believe it, that's fine, because I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to say, oh no, that's not true. If you know my character, you know my integrity, you know how I am, then one person's words should not change your opinion of me, especially when I haven't done anything. So that's how I handle gossip. And again, I focus on my why. My why is my providers. I care about them. They are the ones that drive me, even though sometimes they drive me crazy. And sometimes I tell them, you know, why do you do this to me? Why do you make me query you? And they go, I'm sorry, Bleu, I'm sorry. But it still doesn't change the fact that they're my focus. So my coworkers and all this gossip and mishigas, no, that's not where I'm at. You know, so I don't have to deal with that. Thankfully, I have my own space that I can go to, but I don't listen, and I choose not to listen to that. It is hard. It is something that you can't know it unless you go through it. And when you go through it, then you got to really understand and know your triggers, and you got to know how to decompress. And for me, traveling more was a decompression. Getting myself more educated and going through other coding boot camps. I went through the inpatient coding boot camp from HC Pro earlier this year, and I'm currently going through the CDI boot camp right now through HC Pro. Both of these have managed to focus my attention from gossip and rumors. So I'm able to focus on that, because that is going to lead me to my other bigger goals, which is bigger than petty gossip. You know? Kenya, should you take a 2-part online program on the same day or split up days. It depends on however you want to do that. I've never taken the CPC exam, so I don't know what that's like. But if you, I know you can only take it one time. So if you feel confident, then yes, sure. I mean, if you want to get the other webcam and set it all up, and to me, that's just too much anxiety. I would rather go to the testing center, but that's just me. And it's up to you. That's what I say. John Daniel, that's the point where I want to be, honestly. We have a senior coder, and honestly, the info that doctors get told by others that influence their clinical documentation or coding is almost always bad. Gosh, Hannah says, I am so not ready for that. I hate dealing with drama. You'll have drama anywhere you go. I mean, and that's what I think about too. You'll have drama anywhere you go. I bought my car. And then a month later, another lady that I work with, she bought a new car because I bought a car. So you'll have things like that. You'll have people who will try to show you up. And that is in any field that you get in, whether you are in the medical field or you're, in the admin field somewhere. You'll always have somebody like that at your workplace, always. Karen, that's one thing I like working remotely, no office politics. John Daniel, I've still got some work to do. I need to reach that point, being reliable in the provider's minds. And that's just by communicating and working with them. Yes, it goes a long way. Golden Heart, I'm not surprised that you experience cattiness and gossip because women hate/jealous of each other. And see, that's the thing. I've done a video about jealousy before. And to me, I don't get jealous of other women. I don't get jealous of other people because if I want what they have, I can do it for myself. And if I want a fancy car, of course, I'll get a fancy car. If I want a relationship, I'll go get a relationship. If I want marriage and children, I'll go get marriage and children. You know what I'm saying? So whatever they have, I can get too. If they have a degree, okay, I can get a degree too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, so for me, rather than hate people, celebrate people because it's a lot better to celebrate people. And if anything else, people should motivate you. You should be motivated by others. And, oh, wow, they did it. I can do it, that kind of thing, rather than just always hating on each other, or if you want to lose weight, lose weight. You want to work out and lift weights and, look good and things like that, then work. Do that. Britney Spears has a song about that, and I believe it, so there's always going to be jealousy and gossip and, and it's anywhere and it's anything that you do. And so do I hate it? Yes, absolutely. I hate it, but there's nothing that I can do other than keep being me. And I can't let other people influence how I am. And I can't let other people change me. And I've had some nasty comments. I've gotten nasty comments before. And I told this one lady, do you need a hug? I literally told her, do you need a hug? Because it's just like, you don't know me. You don't know me. And you say all these horrible things. It's like, really? And if you didn't have all of that cattiness and we could probably have been friends, So I don't know. I would rather be friends with people than be enemies with people. But as you get more mature, I like to think in this industry, you learn to deal with it, And so, let's see. Is it intimidating to meet providers? Some are. Hannah, yes, some are very intimidating to meet. I have met providers, and when I first started talking to the providers, when I very first started talking to them, like in a close room, there have been times when I've spoken to providers, but I was in a big room and there was a lot of them, and so it was different. But when I was in a room that was smaller, but it was like a conference room, and they're all right there and they're just sort of looking at you. And then like, for some reason I would get so nervous. And so I would have my work partner talk first. And I was like, you talk first. Cause I can't, cause I got so nervous, And so when I started to relax, like, okay, they're just people, Blue, you can relax. and you can talk to them, right? And so I was like, okay, I can do this. So that's when I started to relax and started to say, okay, we can work this out, I started to get less intimidated. And then as I started to get to know them and I started to get to understand their personalities and things, that's when it got a little bit better, right? Because the first meeting that we did, where we were in this close proximity with them, and I told my work partner, I was like, you talk first. And she talked, and then I talked, and I was like, okay, so this is cool. So everybody started to relax. And so I started to relax. And so at the end of this meeting, we were having a really good conversation. Everybody's laughing, everybody's joking around. And then I get asked, hey, don't you drive? And then the doctor said some weird off the wall vehicle that I don't want to say. I was like, no, no, I don't. And so that was how I connected with my providers, was through cars, because they like fast cars and I love fast cars. So that was how we connected. And so that takes a little bit of the intimidation away, right? And then after that, anytime I started to meet providers, it got a little bit easier. So it gets easier with time. The first time, I will tell you, it is very nerve-wracking and you get very nervous and you get intimidated, especially when they start talking to you. But if you recall your own skill and you are secure in your own skill, right? Because you can never tell a provider, I don't know. The second you tell a provider, I don't know, they start to not trust you. It's all about building trust. The second you can build trust with your providers, the better off you are, because then they say, okay, well, we can trust this person. If you say, I don't know, to a question that they have, oh, that coder doesn't know. They don't know. Don't ask them. They don't know anything. But if you say, you know what, I need to find a reference for you and I'll get right back to you. Okay, this is a coder that knows what they're doing. Let me ask them another question. Let's see what else they know. Okay, and then they ask you something and perhaps you know the answer to this, then you can confidently speak. This is the answer to that. Okay, then they start to relax a little bit more. And then it gets to be a little bit more communicative, right? You start to relax and rely on each other because it's just like, all right, so this person knows what they're saying. This person knows what they're doing. Okay, good. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had providers come in and say, oh, that coder doesn't know what they're doing, from another facility. And so they assume that that's the case here. And I'm like, no, no, no. That's not the way that it works here. For me, I'm very hands-on. I'm always available for my providers. So that's why I always do that with them. And I let them know right away. It isn't just that I'm going to send them emails blindly and not meet them first. I always meet them, especially when they're brand new to my facility. I will go and meet them first before I start sending them a bunch of emails. Because if you have a provider that's coming in and you start sending them queries, well, first, who are you? Who are you, number one? And number two, you haven't met me. You haven't said anything to me. I don't have to listen to you. And that's what they're going to think. I don't have to listen to you. So you never want to get into that right away. You always want to put your best foot forward first. You want to meet them. You want to go and shake their hand and be firm about it. Well, now with COVID, but it's ending. I don't know. But that's what you want to do. You want to be upfront with them. You want to at least go and say hi. So at least they know who you are. Because I always tell my providers, at least y'all can pick me up out of a lineup. Because there's other clinics that they don't even know who their coder is. They don't know what they look like. They could never spot them in a crowd. My providers, oh yeah. They can spot me in a crowd. They know who I am. And so, or they can hear me walking in the hallway with my high heels. So you have to make sure that your providers know who you are. And the more that they know who you are, and the more they can rely on you to get the answer that they need, and that you're never going to tell them, I don't know, the better off you are. John Daniel, not to mention, I remember you said you had sent some reports like productivity and getting into the flow, sending the info they want will get them radar off my back. That's the way I CYA myself. I got back into the gym. Good. Since the pandemic hit, I stopped. Oh no. And when I was working out, my mindset was always good. Nothing bothered me because I had the gym to vent out on. And that's what you need. And sometimes it's just like, okay, Here recently, I've gotten back out into walking again, and it's just 30 minutes right now. I'm going to be building up, but it's 30 minutes, and I'm taking that time to get that walking in, because that's keeping me focused. That gives me more energy, believe it or not. So it's always, however you think, it's however it's going to be. So, but on the bright side, at least it builds character. Yes, it does. Because you have to have a good sense of humor sometimes, especially when people attack you for no reason. John Daniel, not having that crap can build up. Yep. Hey, Blue, are you doing telehealth visits? Not sure if you deal with that or not. Yes, I do. Yeah, we do. ALN, thank you for your advices, Blue. You're welcome. I had quite a crowd tonight. That's so great. I'm so glad. I hope this was helpful. I hope the message was helpful at least. But get into your focus. Get into your why. If you discover your why, again, it's going to make all of the stress a lot more easier to handle, because then you're going to have a reason. You're going to have a reason to fight through it and to get over that horrible part. Every relationship has peaks and valleys. And sometimes you're just in the valley. And then sometimes you go to the peak and you're there for a little bit, and then you come right back down to the valley, because people will let things that are happening to them personally come out and work, right? And it'll affect you, right? Because they'll start micromanaging or doing whatever. You have to just kind of focus on something else. And that's what I have to do, whenever that does happen, because it will happen. It's inevitable. I mean, it's people. But you just have to work through it. Can't get discouraged, whatever you do. If you allowed people to discourage you, then you wouldn't be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. I certainly wouldn't be able to if I allowed people to discourage me. The more that they try to discourage me, the stronger I feel like I get, because it's just like, no, you're not going to sit there and discourage me. You're not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, this person doesn't like me. Okay, well, not everybody has good taste. I mean, what are you going to do? So to me, again, humor plays a lot into, how I cope too. You have to have those coping skills. I'm glad. I'm glad, King. But that's how I get through it. That's how I get through those hard times. And like I said, it's not always easy. And there's times and sometimes you just have to cry, if you cry, yeah, sometimes you just have to cry. You just have to let it out, because physically it is gonna have to come out somehow. For some people, they yell. Some people cry. For me, I cry when I get really upset. I mean, I have to be really upset in order to cry. But, that is something that, that is my way of handling it too. I give myself a break, because you're only human. You get so much patience. You get so much resolve. And then you just kind of have to be like, okay, I need to take a time out. John Daniel, I know my why. That's good. And what I have to do to cover the criteria of my job. I could improve on provider communication part. And you got to show us that coding tip email to us sometimes. Yeah, I'll have to do one. I'll have to definitely do one. Ashley, everything was helpful. Thank you for your time. Well, you're welcome. John Daniel, I think I could learn a lot from those emails. Yes. And they really like them, actually. The providers like them when I do coding tip of the week. If you're brand new and you haven't known or you haven't heard, I do coding tip of the week. And what it is, it's like little breadcrumbs is what I do. Little breadcrumbs, so that I'm not inundating them with a bunch of information all at one time. What I do is I put out coding tip of the week, and it's a very short and sweet email. And it's usually the title is what I'm talking about in that email. I don't put a lot of fluffy stuff. I don't put a lot of extra words. I get right to the point. And I take what I'm going to write and I cut it down to about a quarter. And so that way they have just enough information to cover the basis of what they need. And then if they have questions, they can come to me, or I'll make sure that I do the rounds. Hey, did you get my email? Oh yeah, I was looking at it just now. And they'll say, oh, okay, you know, or they get it. Or I saw a coding tip of the week. The best part is when I see them put it into action, right? When I see them actually apply the coding tip of the week somewhere in their notes, and I'm like, yes. So that's just what I do. But yes, I will have to do an example of that. John Daniel, hey Blue, thanks again for the advice on and the support on the back end on LinkedIn. It helped a lot. Thanks again. Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad. I'm really glad. Because we all need that. As adults, yes, we all need that, because sometimes it's hard for people to understand. If they're not in this industry, it is really hard for people to understand what we're saying and what we mean, you know. So anytime, yeah. But does anybody else have any other questions? Tomorrow is going to be a study hall, just so you guys know. I'm going to do sequencing tomorrow. Talk about sequencing. I know that's a very exciting topic. A lot of people like to ask me about sequencing. So we're going to go into a few examples tomorrow. So that way, you know, it can prepare you for the weekend if you are studying the weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But it has been a very good conversation tonight. I hope this all helped you. And I hope that you will have success in what you do, and realize and know that you can't change people. You can only change how you respond. And I know that's cliche, but it's true. And when you realize that, that's going to go a long way to helping you. At least that's just what I'm saying. So I will see y'all in the next video. Please like, subscribe, share if this helped you, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.